All right, let's start recording. Let's do some quick TA today. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to do some quick TA today and maybe answer some questions, go over any trades that y'all have, and anything else. But it's not going to be quite as long today as it was yesterday because I do need to get back to recording some of the course today. So let's quickly go over what I was looking at. I haven't even really done any TA this morning, so I kind of just want to do it live with anyone watching, and this will be recorded. We are recording, right? Yes. Audio. Cool. Okay, so we have our range, and right now I have these monthly SVPs up because I'm looking at some higher time frame ideas right now. And of course, actually, let's just take that off there for now. Let's clean things up. So it does look like we are potentially getting this higher low for a higher high. Doesn't have to be. However, we did make a really, really nice low here, and this was at our daily order block. And it's making a kind of a nice Model 2. So that could be a nice accumulation model here. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Again, sometimes, especially when we're looking at a bigger redistribution, I like to see a smaller distribution at the very tail end of this larger distribution. So this could just be an accumulation to come back up and we make some other kind of distribution, whether it be a small distribution in this area or up here. And I mean something that is going to be a little bit more local here. Some kind of head and shoulders, Model 2, Model 1, but also looking at a more wide sweeping or broader distribution sign as well. And like we were talking about yesterday, of course, we have maybe a tap 1, tap 2 already. So we're kind of looking here for a tap 3. Could be here at this neck and point of control, or maybe at this one and taking this high. So we're just kind of mapping out different ideas that could play out. So we're ready for each and every one of them because we don't know exactly what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. So we need to make our plans, set your alerts, and play the levels, right? And be ready for a bigger distribution to happen if we do get that. Now, again, coming back here, this is kind of looking like a really good low for now. And again, this was at I believe it was a daily order block. And then yesterday, I think this one over here was the 12-hour order block that we were looking at, as well as the golden pocket. So here was your order block, golden pocket. Again, golden pockets are amazing. You can use them all the time. Let's see. Let's go back to the 15 here. And just like I was saying yesterday, I really kind of wanted to spend some more time down here, to be honest with you. And we'll go back over to the TPO and I'll show you kind of what I was looking at. I did post a little short video in there. However, I was saying that, yeah, we could definitely make some kind of V-shaped recovery here or kind of that Model 2. And yeah, you got your Model 2. Where was that Model 2? It was formed right in the discount area at your golden pocket at your level, right? So we have the context of the move, we have the location, and we have the level. So when you get these types of patterns with everything going for you, and this is all trying to pull in the framework of the rule of 7, and that's why I include everything to try to create these very, very high probable trades. But this is just a great example of what you want to see at your level and location. So it did have a nice little accumulation. We ended up taking all this liquidity, very nice, overnight. So let's go back. Let's go back to the 4-hour here and explain what I have kind of already drawn on my chart. So again, we can see a good low here, and we can see a good low put in here as well. Now, if we look at our monthly profile, so let's go back to that, and that's part of why I have this drawing on my chart and the way it is. Let's change this to a month. Okay, let's let that load. There we go. Okay, so we can see in this monthly profile that our value area high is right at this level, the dark gray. So what I like to see here, since we do have a little order block and naked VWAP, and this is just one scenario, it doesn't have to play out, could be totally different scenario, and we're going to go over every one of them that I'm kind of thinking here. So since we have value area high here, and we have a nice order block, naked VWAP, and let's go ahead, I haven't done this yet, but this is a great time. That's very nice confluence as well. So let's actually change this drawing just a little bit, because now that I see that, I'm kind of thinking, hey, we're trying to knock down this door right here, right? If you come over here, well, there was some pretty heavy liquidity here, and you see that we have our white line in this area. And this area is going to be that $72.5 to $73,000. So I want to look in that same area to see what's going on there, right? On the heat map. Is there any sell walls here? Is there anybody defending that area? Right here, we have 72.8. So that actually 72.8 to 73, that is where, actually, hell, even a little bit below that. So I would say this entire area right here, you have stacks of sell walls, right? So that is what we're using as our confluence. And where does that line up at? It's 72.8. And again, these numbers aren't going to cross over to these numbers exactly, because you remember this price action is aggregated. So it's taking an aggregation of a price. So we're just going to say 72.5 to 73. So 72.5, right around that naked VWAP, all the way up to the 6.5. So with that said, I'm looking at potentially knocking through this value area high briefly, maybe making some kind of distribution model, or we just have like a manipulation phase, break back into this range, or just saying, hey, breaking back into that monthly value area high or monthly value area, back testing that value area high, and then coming on down. And this creating that third tap. So that would be my first scenario. This is still a really nice scenario up here. And I would have to say this one is probably my preferred scenario, because we have some really nice order blocks up here and that weekly naked point of control. And I prefer the weekly naked point of control over this naked VWAP and golden pocket. However, I could see us potentially putting something in here, coming back down to the monthly point of control, and then coming up to the weekly naked point of control. That could happen as well if we don't just come up here and start trending up, hitting that naked point of control, as well as the 786 right here. And that red line, again, is the high of our really, really old demand. So I think that level is going to be defended. However, this batch of liquidity is sitting all right here. So price or buying aggression has to break those walls down, or they have to move. So the NPOC up here is at 73.9, so around 74,000 here. So there's really nothing up there just yet. However, it is very early. So these guys could fake us out, pull their liquidity, and then pull it up here. or it could just be a very broad passive accumulation. So they're going to be accumulating the shorts here. But nonetheless, I'm looking in the golden zone here, all the way from the golden pocket to the 786 as usual. And these are the different areas that I'm looking at and why. But I am basically looking on a higher time frame to see if we do get that third tap. And that would be basically the last tap needed to go all the way down and fulfill this larger time frame redistribution, right? So that's the way I'm looking at that for now. There still is always a chance that we can really get bullish and then come up here and then make a tap one, tap two, tap three. However, I like this tap three making that model two a little bit better. Let's see if there's anything on the map up here. Why don't we? It's worth taking a look at. So yeah, at 80,000, you do have 78 to 80,000 right in that zone. Right here. That's basically right above this high and into this imbalance that could also play out. So again, liquidity can always move around. So we're going to have to keep our eye on it, but it could absolutely have that more extended redistribution all the way out. And that could take, that could take all week. So those are the three short ideas that I like the most. Now let's go a little bit more local to see if we have anything before any of that plays out. And also we'll look at any potential long setups. Let's go down to the 30-minute. And let's take that off our charts at this point now. I haven't done any TA yet, so I need to actually, was this an old VWAP? Okay. So that's still a negative view up there. We do have one below us. I'm going to mark that one in. Nice. Put an alert right there. This one has gotten hit. That one needs to come off. Take a look at TPO really quick. And just to show y'all, again, that golden pocket that we had hit yesterday. And I really thought it was going to spend a bit more time down here. However, that was the end of your single prints to the dollar. So, like, that was a very, very nice setup. But I'm not going to lie, I honestly thought we were going to come down here and spend a little bit more time. That was my expectation for that. But once you broke back into value and back tested that value area low, you could have potentially found a long here, or you had a nice retest in here. Let's go down to the 5-minute, kind of look at that a little bit closer. Yeah, I mean, you could see this as a structure break. I would accept this as a structure break personally. That's just me. So yeah, you could have gotten in on this retest potentially if you wanted to. Let's go back to the 30. So it looks like these are really shitty highs. I'm not liking this here. It only has one block on the high. I really prefer to see at least 2 blocks on the high for me. Or lows for it to be a good low, by the way. Go and lock that one in. All right, so let's take this off. And what I'm looking for now is to see if we actually come down first to see if there's any way we could hop into a long. Let's also mark out the naked point of control here. Yeah, this low had a ton of confluence all over it. It was a previous day point of control right here as well. Very nice confluence on that. I love it when you see stuff like that. And that kind of goes into what we were talking about yesterday, like different assets respecting levels. Bitcoin is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. ES is great too, but Bitcoin is still really, really good. I would put it right up there with it. I can definitely say it's much better than gold. So this would be the first area that I would be looking for long right here. We do have a little imbalance here right at the value area low, but we do have value to break through to get to that level. So let's come here really quickly now that I'm looking at this, kind of seeing some broader absorption in this
Hey,
area
bud,
here.
morning.
Morning, morning, morning.
What was that area? Sorry.
What'd you say?
What? It was the value area of which volume range?
So are you talking about this low here that I was saying?
No, the one where you wanted it to come. Oh, I see where it is. The NPOC.
Oh, yeah. So looking for the long.
That's from yesterday.
Yeah, it's yesterday's
Okay.
naked point and control,
Okay, I
or
got you.
PDPOC. Yeah.
Thank
Uh,
you.
but yeah, I was also kind of looking at this here because I see that we have a 30-minute order block with an imbalance. And, the bigger imbalances, I do like to see them rebalance, no different than this here. Now, this isn't massive by any means, but it sticks out to me.
Right.
And I was just seeing it's just kind of right at the value area low. So normally in these types of situations, I would take this order block, but I would also kind of include the fair value gap in this case. Usually I don't, usually I leave the fair value gaps alone because I've just seen the order blocks get hit so much, and that's good enough for me. I just try to, again, focus on what works the most and just leave it at that, trying to simplify things instead of looking at a million different things. But in this case, I want to include that value area low and in this imbalance. I just like
Which I
everything here.
also would. And I also saw earlier it's a 4 hour there
Okay. Nice. Yeah,
as well.
I haven't even marked
Right.
any order blocks out yet. So we are getting to that, but that's even better. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right. I know.
now, I mean, really,
It's like on your line.
yeah, like really you could take that entire block and fair value gap and engulf both of those key levels as well. Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and just lock that in. Make it darker. Okay. So yeah, that would be my main level to the downside. Let's go back to TPO really quick because okay. No, come on, TradingView. Don't do me like that. Kind of a weak New York Open here. Hmm. So
It was yesterday, bro.
yeah, maybe we'll get some movement. Um, Man, it's 10 o'clock already though. Damn, it's really
I know.
like this is supposed to be the good hour. Like to be honest with you, like this is prime time. Um, Man, come on. Don't give us another boring day. Maybe we're starting to make afternoon plays this week or something because it seems to be that way. Like yesterday,
It's
what?
all Asia, man.
Yeah.
It's all Asia, and it's all post New York close,
Yeah.
uh, whatever moves,
Kind of like that pre Asia for when overnight
right?
opens.
5 o'clocks.
Mm hmm. Okay. So let's take a look at our weeklies really quick. I want to take a look at the weekly profiles, see what's going on there. And kind of resting right on the value area high right now. And we're definitely absorbing some buying here. Let's go take a look at that. So you definitely have a lot of effort with no result right here. So what is that telling us? That's telling us that there are a shit ton of people getting absorbed, buyers. And there's a lot. Man, I kind of wish I would have shorted this, to be honest with you. Damn it. That's a lot of buying. Yeah. Oh, well. We'll move on to the next. It's not really at any kind of crazy level, but it is hard to ignore all this absorption going on here. So that does look like a pretty clean short. And I missed it. Maybe we just come back down to point of control and VWAP though. Let me take a look here. No. I feel like we're going to come back. Yeah, I feel like we're going to come here. Sveto, did you take that short?
No, unfortunately.
uh,
I'm just waiting.
Gotcha.
I still don't trust them that they're going to push down yet. And they could bounce from here.
Let's go back
Because
to this.
selling is really low. Yeah, they're absorbing the longs up there, but don't know. We'll see.
All right, let me take a look at what happened overnight here. Damn, that's a lot of delta here. A lot of buying. I just want to see what the participation was like in this move up. So that's why I'm looking at MMT right now. Oh God, stop that. I was gonna say that. I mean, they're kind of squeezing the shorts on this move up, but really there's no liquidations just yet, which is surprising. I would have figured there'd have been some liquidations up here, but you don't see much at all. You know what? I'm going to take a look at spot really quick. Take this over here. I'm really kind of upset that they moved those volume and delta bars to their own window instead of on the actual screen. Not sure why they had to do that. Okay, so you did hit a nice level here in spot. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to come on down and we're going to get ready for a long down in this area. That's going to be my first long scenario. So while we're kind of waiting to see what happens with this move, to see if it's going to try to have some more attempts at this high, because liquidity started to get cleared so far until you get up to that 72.8, 73,000 area, which again is at our short idea that we mapped out earlier. Okay, so let's take a look for some order blocks while we're waiting. Anybody have any questions while I'm going through all this stuff here?
No, but I can help you with the order blocks. There's a 30-minute right above the, or I should say, right under the daily open, which is interesting to me. I kind
Take
of
this.
like that area.
3 hour barely got hit. I'm going to take that. I'm taking that. I like it. It got tapped into a little bit, but I'm going to keep it on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I don't need to add another one there. I am going to add this refined one here, just in case we get that more refined play and I'm able to use this as a stop loss instead of this, potentially. I like to do that when the market gives us a chance to. So that's why I layer all these different order blocks into the same area. So same thing here. My idea is the reason why I layer these order blocks like this. If we hit here, this could be one trade. It might hit here. It could be another trade. And then we come back to hit this one. And that could be another trade. So I like to leave each one on my chart until they all get hit or ran through. But if we do come up or come down here rather and do something like this, I can put my stop loss here instead of there, potentially, depending on how we leave this area and what order flow is showing me how we leave that area. Anyways, let's go back here. What is that? Oh, that's the wrong damn thing. Has anybody taken any trades this morning?
Unfortunately, no.
I mean,
2 today.
I almost longed the move up off of the daily POC, but then I changed my mind.
yeah,
Almost. And then I said, you know what? I feel as if I'm horsing it, you know?
right, right. Yeah, no, I don't like those trades either. If I feel like I'm trying to make a trade out of nothing, it's like, what am I doing? Like,
I mean, it
no,
was off the VWAP. It was off the, I mean, I had, you know, some options there, but
right.
wasn't in love with it.
Yeah, I took that short. It was approximately 11:30 UTC.
Yeah.
So what I had seen was we'd Monday's value area high, so it was the Monday high, and I was looking for an SFP of that level, and then I could see on Bookmap there was quite a thick liquidity wall, and we got what looked to me in my untrained eye heavy absorption. Price started moving in my favor, and I just jumped on the short, and I went all the way down to VWAP, and then I
Nice.
closed it. I had a limit order to close at VWAP. Now on paper it was kind of like a 3 hour trade, but by the time I kind of sliced it up with TPs along the way, um, it was kind of a 1.2 hour trade. But I was happy it met my target, and it seemed pretty clean.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I end up taking a lot of the trades that end up being like 1R a lot of the time, just because it's just what I could capture out of that trade before I got knocked out. But dude, I mean, again, it's all about stacking those small wins, and eventually you get some home runs mixed in there, and it just works out, right? So I would rather leave money on the table than get round tripped, because man,
Absolutely.
getting round tripped is just the worst feeling ever. um,
Now look, if we can average 2 to 3 hour net every day, we'll be millionaires.
yeah, that's all you need. Yeah, you don't have to be crazy. Um, okay. I think I got everything I want on my chart now.
For your information, guys, my very worst moves of many awful moves in my crypto journey. But the worst were going in heavy on DeFi protocols for passive income that promise 1% a day.
Oh,
That's where I blew the most,
damn.
and that's what I was chasing. 1%. I'm just giving context. If we're talking about 2 or 3%,
Yeah.
I blew the lot, or half of the lot, for 1%. So 2 or 3s a day is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's very, very good.
It's massive.
It adds up.
It does, especially if you start to compound and just, start growing your account. I mean, at some point, like you have to be happy with what you can get from the market so you don't get screwed over, right? And it was kind of going back to, I don't remember, maybe it was last week that we kind of got into like the idea of when you explain trading to someone that's an outsider who doesn't trade or anything, and they think it's gambling. So I kind of look at gamblers and what is the distinction? Once you start to get really good at strategy, trade management, risk management, you become more of a risk manager than, a trader or a gambler per se, right? So same thing, I see the big problem with gamblers is they get those dopamine hits and they go all in sometimes, or they go too heavy, or they don't know when to quit, they don't know when to cash out, etc. So just that kind of basic idea, and it's kind of loosely applied in different ways, but I just like to take what I can get sometimes and not be too damn greedy. And I remind myself, like, okay, don't act like a gambler, right? Don't act like, oh, like I just won this and I can go heavier on the next and the next. Or even worse, you lose and you find yourself in the worst cycle of all of trying to win those losses back as quick as possible. And man, that's usually where the worst damage happens, to be honest with you. Um, I'm sure everyone has seen like movies around this entire
Oh
idea.
yeah, they spiral.
Yeah.
Tony
um,
Mahoney,
yeah.
brilliant.
Tony Mahoney, yeah, sure.
I watched a movie with Colin Farrell recently that was kind of like this.
Oh, I hated that movie.
I can't remember what it was,
Yeah, he was
but
spiraling.
yeah. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of movies that are on that. Okay. So we're coming down. What is this here? This is VWAP and a little tiny.
What you said about dopamine hits, I think that's a massive factor in over trading.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
You know about dopamine fasting?
Yeah, I do.
That would be a great thing to include in your narrative, because I think it's a big thing that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's going to be a,
It turns us into rats in a maze, doesn't it?
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to deal with that. And to be honest with you, the way I set up trading plans, the way I personally set up the framework and structure of trading in general, even without order flow involved, like not even getting into order flow at all, because really how I deal with psychology and stuff like that is really all in the trading plan, number one. Number two, trade management. Number three, risk management. So if you have, and again, that's why all of that is included into the rule of seven, is because I have tried, like I've had the shitty ass journey too, right? I've spent years being really, really down, always thinking to myself, like, when am I going to get my chance? When am I going to be able to turn things around? When am I just, simply put, going to be consistently profitable? And what do I have to do to get there? And you really have to sit yourself down and really be honest with yourself and start with self-awareness. You have to really understand and to identify your problems, which your problems become or come from your behaviors. And those are usually built-in habits at some point. And once you start to experience some really harsh loss, that can be imprinted into your nervous system. That's what a lot of people really don't realize. And when you go back in and start trading with real money after going to demo and you come back and that first loss hits you the same way as, one of your big losses, that's kind of a sign that you're kind of holding on to that subconsciously. And the reason I know that is because I went through that and many other people go through that. But that's kind of the reason why I built the structure and the framework and how I came to all that is because I had to sit myself down, become extremely self-aware. And this is a part why journaling is such a big part of this. It's because that's what's helping you become self-aware. So you can really analyze your trades, but more importantly, analyze yourself and why you're taking those trades. What is going on in your head that is telling you to, trade 50 times a day instead of 5? Or if you take a loss, you end up trading 10 times more after that loss, or you trade bigger after that loss. A number of things, right? So
It's not in the head, it's in like the chest and the balls, I think.
yeah. So, I mean, me personally, and I see this a lot with other people, is like they don't really have a really, really well structured framework to trade from. And I see this in a lot of different communities. Like, and I will say, I hate on ICT sometimes because I feel like they overcomplicate things and it's not necessary. However, I'm not going to lie that, or I can't deny and not like see that they are creating some kind of structured framework to try to work within, to try to create boundaries so they don't really, maybe don't go on tilt, or maybe they don't trade outside of certain time frame or time zones, like, New York cash session, or maybe, they're looking for a specific A+ setup. So they're really focused and zoned in on something to try to, I guess, put it in a framework. So you're not going outside of that framework and just taking scalps anywhere and everywhere, or whatever your problem might be, right? So sitting myself down and kind of going through that, recognizing and becoming aware of where my problems were, where my bad behaviors were coming from, was step one. And once I did that, I was able to see that shit, man, I'm a fucking good trader here. I'm taking plenty of good trades. All I really need to do is start removing some of these shit trades. And it was like, okay, where are all these shit trades coming from? Well, shit, man, a lot of these trades are coming from the middle of the range. I'm getting chopped up in 1 minute time frame bullshit, trusting 1 minute, 30-second market structure shifts, all these different things. And so I had to come like to some level of self-awareness and be like, hey, okay, I see that. Okay, let's analyze the good of this too. You don't want to just analyze the bad. Be like, hey, I'm proud of you for this trade. I'm proud of myself for this trade. Okay, so where are those trades coming from? And then I ended up seeing at least my own personal truth was waiting for the extremes of the range, waiting for those external SFPs, waiting for very crystal clear setups instead of these like B- or C+ setups where like, yeah, I look back at my journal and like, why the fuck did I take that trade? That was so stupid of me. So then I started building the framework around all of my mistakes and all of the good behaviors as well. And that's pretty much why I have certain trade management strategies, like when I take profits, when and how I move my stop losses, strategically matched to certain style of trades. Same thing with my position size. Some people might tell you, oh, just take 1%, just keep it standardized to 1% or whatever. Like, that's okay. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the worst thing in the world. It's not. However, that's not how I do it. If I'm taking a really risky setup, but I'm getting some good signals and it's somewhere where I can have like a super tiny stop loss, I know those tiny stop losses can get knocked out really quickly, especially if you're trading like ES or NQ, especially NQ, right? So like I'm ready for that. But to guard myself and to guard me losing a bigger amount, if I have a tinier stop loss, I don't always go in 1%. I might go in 1/4%, or 1/5%, even sometimes 1/10 of 1%. But if that trade goes my way and it ends up being like a 10R, I'm still very, very happy. And it just goes back to what I was saying before. It's like you just have to be happy with what you can get, what you can, actually capture from the market. And through that, and through, like the way I move my stop losses and everything, I generally just love trying to stay green as much as I can because it helps my psychology. I have a lot of break even trades. I leave a lot of money on the table all the fucking time. And I've just got used to being okay with that. I know a lot of people, beat themselves up over, oh man, I should have, I took profits too early. And, to some degree, it can be problematic. If you're always having like these negative R trades or something like that, yeah, that can definitely work against you to some level. And that's why I'm saying like the position size has to match everything. The trade management has to match everything. So if you're getting into a riskier situation, just size down, be more aggressive on your stop loss, take profits, capture what you can, get in, get out. I mean, that's what scalping's supposed to be, right? Even intraday trading. Every trade doesn't have to go to top to bottom, bottom to top. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I think I went on a little rant there, but basically what I'm getting at is I have built-in things to my rule of 7, my framework, the structure I use to trade that help me deal with those dopamine hits, keep myself in line, help me deal with everything psychologically. And so I don't necessarily like have all these other, I guess, weird, or maybe not weird. Shouldn't say that. Any kind of rules based around psychology, like, I guess like what you were saying, like, hey, maybe I should do some form of dopamine detox, like wipe out all screens for a week, right? Just go out in nature. And that's great. I'm fucking fully on board with everyone doing that. I think we all should get the fuck off of screens, right? Get away from trading. And that's, that's why I don't do this on the weekends. That's why I have trading hours. My trading hours are usually from 9:30 to 2 p.m. every day. And that's Monday through Friday. But even more so, it's really Tuesday to Thursday. Monday and Friday, I don't always trade because those, through statistics, I find that those are my weakest days. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are my strongest days. So again, I've made up all of these. Really, they're just kind of filters, right? To help with everything. Because at some point in time, you're going to have to sit yourself down and figure out your own filters to help with what issues and what problems that you have. What are your habits? And that's, where the idea came from of building the execution labs. And once we open the execution labs, I'm going to be working with people hands on to do just that, right? So it's not just about, hey, learning the concepts, learning how to see this shit on your screen, learning how to trade. It goes well beyond all that because a lot of people end up taking courses. And how do I know this? Because this was me. You start to take courses and it's like, oh, at some point in your journey, you're going to strategy hop. You're going to try to figure out what's the best things to use. And you're going to end up coming across tons of different people. They're going to tell you tons of different things. So at the end of the day is what I'm trying to do is fast track everyone in a framework that worked really well for me, but is kind of also backed by science in a way too, because I've studied a lot on how to teach people how to create new and better habits, how to rewire your brain. And that kind of goes into what you're saying is with the dopamine detox idea. And absolutely, if someone needs to do that, yeah, there's no harm in taking maybe a week or two out and living a different life, gaining different perspective, doing a little bit of self-awareness work and all that, right? So
The way I'm thinking of it, that's like obviously advisable, but I was thinking of it more of even not just, I guess, yeah, taking regular breaks is definitely a way to manage it day to day. But I was thinking of like the immediate self-awareness as it's happening. Things like the specific context of dopamine fasting, it's common in social media, isn't it?
yeah,
Where the people who run social media are aware of what it does to you in
right.
terms of getting you like a rat in a maze on a carousel. The video I've got in mind of someone who basically highlights this and guides you around what's going on with it. It's called "Why You Can't Stop Clicking,"
Yeah.
and it shows how the way dopamine hits work is to constantly get you like on the carousel of
Mm-hmm.
looking for the next hit.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible for, and I've realized like this is one reason why sometimes I disappear for days or don't share journaling even, is because I've realized that my activity on social media, because I'm so talkative, it's it often uses it, all of it uses up energy. Mental capital is a
Absolutely.
really useful concept. So as you're doing, and sometimes if so I'm on the computer far too much because I'm doing all sorts on it. You've got your entire life on there now in terms of admin and managing all your bills and everything.
Yeah.
I'm writing because that's my work. So then when I'm not doing that work, trying to write a PhD, I'm then trading. Almost everything I do is on a screen now. So I can get to halfway through a day and be absolutely frazzled and not like properly take account of it. And my attitude is, well, I'm just doing what I need to do. All of this is stuff that needs doing. Da 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 da. So if there's anything like me chatting more than I need to online or whatever, all of those little gain, basically all of it's costing me
Yeah.
mental capital. And I've realized that I really need to start monitoring myself more rein it in and get some respite wherever I can, because there's so much activity on the screen now that it's just doing my head in. And even just waiting for things to load, waiting for pages to load. You probably, a few of you will have seen my tabs.
Yeah.
You can see it's like a picture of ADHD.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds of tabs, and that's not even all of them. I've got multiple windows with hundreds of tabs. And it's just mentally unhealthy, and like over trading is a classic example of the kind of place it gets you into with all of this, where you're just constantly chasing your own tail.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately the age we live in. And that's why I often tell, people I'm friends with here locally, and like, man, some days you just sit down and actually turn the phone off for a change, and you realize what it was like to grow up in the 80s or 90s, like I did. And it's like, man, we had, back in those days, it was great, right? But you didn't really understand how great it was and how special it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think, technology is great to a certain extent, right? And social media can be used for good. Just like most things in this world, people just fuck things up and corrupt things and end up using things in the worst ways possible. But that doesn't mean you have to, right? And so, like, I've never really been too big into social media. So I honestly, I don't really spend a lot of time on social media. So I don't really have too much of a problem with it. But yeah, there was a good Netflix, kind of like a documentary type thing on this subject of, I forgot what it was called, like social network or something, but it went over a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. It was really good. So this is looking good here. Again, I really kind of wish I was in that short, to be honest with you.
Me too.
But we'll have to wait for our next level. So, anyone else have any questions? Any questions over what I've gone over today, trading plans, or maybe you want to go over a trade? I'm not going to be able to stay on the live much longer today. I am going to get back to recording the course, because I'm getting to that point in the course where I'm actually really excited about it and I want to do it. So
So besides the low and besides that 4 hour order block, is there any other areas of interest higher? I mean, I had that 30, but honestly, now that the value areas have shifted up, it's
mhm.
not as appealing to me anymore.
I mean, my two main levels, again, let's put this on here as I talk this through. So again, let's go back here and see how liquidity is moving around first and foremost. So again, kind of going back to module 1, we're starting to see liquidity on both sides. So what is that telling us in an environment perspective? Is that we could start to range here, or just simply come down and then come back up, or it could come up and then come down. But any point in time, these could move out of the way. These can always be used as bait, just kind of like what I went over yesterday a little bit. We are trading under New York VWAP pretty much ever since it opened again. So I'm not going to get any, I'm not going to get bullish until we get back over that. But then again, it's bullish to where? I'm saying that with context of bullish up to here. So, but yeah, so the zones I'm looking at really are right around that liquidity area. Again, where do we see the liquidity here? We see that it's kind of moved down a little bit because it before it was majorly around this area. So really, this red line really started to pick up here. So 72.4, actually, no, that was the same. My bad. 72.4 to basically 73,000. So
Somebody
72.4.
told me that we had single prints at 73,500.
Yes. So come over here and take a look at that. So it starts here about 73. And they are filled about 73.4.
4. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking.
Yeah. So that again, that's back over here. So 73,000 is right inside this golden pocket. And again, looking at all this too, 72.4 to 73. So where's 72.4? Right at a naked VWAP into the 6.5. So that'd be the first zone that I'm looking at. Again, it could just come up and make a distribution model like that. Or, you know,
That's
I
what
was
feels.
I was kind of thinking maybe some type of AMD model as well. And you come back into the range here.
Sure.
That I could see that happening. Or we really just kind of work up to that 786 and that weekly naked point of control here. So I like this area and this area for a short. However, like I see all of this right here, these kind of
I know.
shitty highs. So
I just don't know why we would come down at all in order to go higher. It's not adding up for me.
I could see it since we're back into this range here. And I'm also going to look on my other screen real quick. So we are inside, we have fallen back inside the daily value area on the SVPs, the TPO. We are still inside in here. Let me just bring it up on here so everyone can see. We are going to take away all this mess first. What the hell? Oh, damn you, TradingView. I hate when you do that. I don't like that. When you have this brush on, you have to come over here and click off of it.
No, I know that. I hate it.
Because I always forget that it's on, and then I'm like, what is going on?
So funny.
Anyways, so let's go back to what I was trying to show. So let's go to that monthly. We're going to pull up the monthly. We are going to, and again, this is the daily, so we are inside value on the daily, right? So I'm looking at that. But now let's hide that. Let's go to our monthly. So we see that we have been hitting on the value area high of this monthly session volume profile, or rather PVP, periodic volume profile. So I'm also kind of looking at that and saying to myself, well, yeah, it could come back down to point of control and then work itself back up. Or we have these areas here. What if point of control starts to shift a little bit? It starts to work down, comes down here, point of control shifts down here, and then starts to rise up again. So let's go to the weekly really quick because I want to look at that to weigh in that as well because I really like the monthlies. I don't do a lot with. It's yes, they're still weighted heavily, but you know the levels. I like to see the dailies and the weeklies over anything. So we see that we have the value area low here of the previous week. And that's right in our area that we're looking for. We have that, what was it, 4-hour order block or something like that? I can't remember now. I think it was,
Yes, it is.
yeah. So we have that and we have, yeah.
Are you setting up your weeklies on your own, or is it an automatic indicator? You know,
Yeah,
the SVP.
it's the PVP. Yeah, the
Okay.
periodic volume profile. So for the weeks and the monthlies, I use the PVP.
Oh, look how nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
But you know, we have that 4-hour block. We have our high volume levels here, and we have inducement on that level as well.
Right.
So just pointing that out. I do like this area for a long.
Okay, good.
So that's kind of my idea. Like if we can get under this point of control, maybe we see that, and this kind of be your higher low. Maybe you have a nice little trend line there as well or something forming. Cool, right? So that's what I'm looking at for the next long scenario under us. And let's put back on the dailies. So yeah, you would just be in the previous day's profile. So it's not like you're falling down 3 days or anything like that. So that's typical. And this was an inside day yesterday,
Mhm.
and then you opened
Right.
up. So I'm kind of looking at like, hey, point of control, point of control, point of control, down. But then we get that nice P shape, point of control on the retest, and we're rising again. So yeah, that kind of gives me an idea that the market wants something up here. But yeah, honestly, I would like that. And then that.
I would love that.
I mean, that's just, I'm just thinking of different
I would
scenarios.
love it, my brother.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Kind of a simple day, to be honest with you, unless you're really kind of getting nitty gritty into scalping. As far as that goes, I mean, I would kind of turn on our sessions, and you can see that, hey, if we do break below this point of control, we do have a nice order block underneath us. Now, does it have to come down to here? No, it doesn't. Do I think this is going to hold? No, not necessarily. I don't. However, it could just offer a scalp trade. You come in here, maybe go back up to point of control, and then down. So you could scalp that if you want to. Just you have to understand that this not necessarily means that, hey, I'm going to take it way up here. You're just taking this to hopefully take some profit here, leave a runner in case it does run up to there, right? Because really, in my opinion, if we lose point of control, it's more likely to do that. Same thing. If you're looking for a little quick short scalp, look for that scalp off of the point of control. However, I wouldn't take it just because it's the point of control. I don't really like taking trades from the developing the same day point of control. Okay. It's usually for me, it's a better place to take profits than take a trade because we see a lot of chop around it. Why? Because that's the most agreed upon area, right? So, what I would prefer to do is if we do this, come down, and then we get that back test off this value area low, short that to here. So, and, take some profits here, leave a runner just in case we come back down to here, sweep these lows into these order blocks here. So that's how I look at, that's how I look at the markets in general. If I'm trying to scalp like that, I'm just looking level to level, looking at value, looking at where price wants to act as what is acting as a magnet for price. Point of controls, VWAPs, revisiting some unmitigated demand, filling out imbalances, sweeping liquidity. So it's filling someone's bigger bag up here so they can get in and all of this stuff. So anyways, I'm about to hop off of here. I do need to get back to creating some videos for the course today. But before I go, does anybody have any questions? Where am I?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Always
Appreciate-
a pleasure, my homie.
Absolutely. I appreciate everyone for being here. I'm going to hop off now, but if y'all have any questions, post it up in the TA section and I can get to it in the chats. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks for your time, dude.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.